And what's really interesting is because of prostate cancer screening, the majority of cases that are now diagnosed are early diagnosis, early stage disease, curable disease. Because over half of the disease that was diagnosed before PSA and PSA screening, it was always metastatic and disease that we could not cure and we could only palliate or actually help prolong one's life. And so there's been such a surgence of early detection of disease. People were starting to say, well, are we overdiagnosing the disease? And are we skewing the disease unnecessarily towards these early stage disease? And should we not be looking as hard as we're looking? And so we use data now from all around the world to try and decide, were we overdiagnosing? And the U.S. Preventive Services Task Force chimed in and said, I think we are overdiagnosing the disease. And other organizations then soon followed after their recommendations in 2012 and said, I think we're overdiagnosing. And so the pendulum went from really trying to diagnose as many people as we can to trying not to overdiagnose the disease. And now we're at a point, after about 3 to 5 years of the implementation of the U.S. Preventive Services Task Force guidelines, saying, you know what, I think now that 27% fewer diagnoses are being made, and we're now starting to see later stage disease and more aggressive prostate cancers now being diagnosed, that perhaps we overswung the pendulum, and perhaps we need to come back more in a centrist fashion and come up with a happy medium or a happier answer that makes more sense and is more realistic and more appropriate and how we diagnose prostate cancer. So as I sit before you today, and now in 2016 in Prostate Cancer Awareness Month, we now understand that screening probably has a huge role in diagnosing early stage disease and shouldn't be undervalued and ignored. And I think that as the U.S. Preventive Services Task Force right now is listening to recommendations from physicians and healthcare providers all around the world as to what they believe should be done, they are taking all of these recommendations and are actually revising their statement as we speak. And it has not been released, but it is apparent that there are organizations out there that believe that prostate cancer detection through screening programs has a role, and how we apply screening is going to actually lead us ahead in the years to come. And I think that the recommendations as they come out will be different than the ones that you have now been hearing since the 2012 recommendations of the U.S. Preventive Services Task Force. So I think that this is going to be a very important Prostate Cancer Awareness Month in the years ahead.